here. Hi, Vicky.
I guess I can unmute, huh?
Yeah, I have to find my glasses. I can't see anything. My town has their Halloween parade today, and there's thousands of people lined up out front of my house. I just see
Oh,
flashing lights.
and you'll hear the big bands coming by.
Yeah. I heard the bands are on. There is, I'm guessing Boyertown is on 100 or right off of 100 because I can hear them when I'm in the back of my house, and I can see the fire truck lights. They haven't gotten here yet, but yeah.
That'd be fun. I know it's something all the kids look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, all of 100 from the Chevy dealer down to the Bally
Hmm.
Hotel is just lined on both sides.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm gonna give it like another couple minutes because there was about hi
hi, Sarah.
Sarah. There was about 20, I think 25, 24 people signed up.
Oh, excellent.
So we'll give it a couple more minutes to see if people jump on, and then we'll
All right, perfect. It was a beautiful day out today, too.
I think all week's supposed to be nice.
Oh, that's good. Hopefully, it won't rain on the Upper Perk Halloween parade.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 58 and sunny as of right now, but it's supposed to go down to 32, so probably going to be a little chilly that evening. There's so much candy at my office.
Is there?
Oh
Good,
my goodness. Yeah, we're not running
good.
out this year, I don't think.
Yeah, I was teasing my granddaughter that I asked her if I could borrow her princess outfit for Halloween. And she goes, Gigi, I'll have to think about it. And then she looks at her mama and she looks back at me and she goes, okay, Gigi, I'll let you have
Thought
it.
about it really fast. Okay.
Yes. And I said, do you really think it'll fit, Gigi? And she goes, not sure.
Nice. Oh,
I said, no. Gigi will come up with something else.
I have to find those signs we used last year on the trailer. I don't know if
Were
they're
we
in.
able to get another trailer?
Tina's neighbor said we could use hers again. I just have to
Okay,
get
good.
pay, and and Tiffany also has one. Oh, there's another person. Tiffany also has one, and she said she'd pull it too. So
Oh,
that's
good.
an option too. Yeah.
That's perfect.
No, no. You ruined everything. Right, ladies. It is almost 5 after 7. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I want to start by thanking everybody for registering and jumping on tonight. I'm sure we're gonna have a few more stragglers as we get into it. Happy National Business Women's Week. We're so excited for the lineup that we have this week. And just for businesswomen in general. So I know so many of you have had speakers at your locals or are doing things in your local communities for National Businesswomen's Week, and we thank you for that. We so appreciate it. If you haven't registered already for tomorrow night's event, it is Sarah Fontanez, and she's going to be doing women's wealth. management. So if you sign up for that, you'll be getting an email from me with some handouts that she had. And then on Wednesday, Deborah Triska is going to be doing intergenerational communication, which is really, really important in our lives these days, with so many generations working in the workplace together, and the vast differences between them. So if you haven't had the opportunity yet, scoot on over to the BPWPA website and register for those. Also, when you have a chance, if you can jump on the BPWPA Facebook, our National Businesswomen's Week video to kick off our week for domestic violence is posted. So if you can go on there and take a look at it, like it, share it on your personal pages or your district and local Facebook pages, that would be so, so, so appreciated. And without further ado, while we are all here, please join me as much as you can in welcoming Vicki Lightcap back to National Business Women's Week. Hi, Alita. There she is. Vicki was a speaker for us last year, and talked to us about stress management, right? Last year, and how to deal in life properly. And when I was thinking about the state projects and really what I wanted to throw my time and effort into and pick domestic violence, it was a no-brainer for me for Vicki to be the first person I would go to ask to be my state project chair. For those of you who don't know, Vicki is a survivor of domestic violence, and you will hear her story tonight, but she is a pillar of perseverance, of kindness, is one of the women mentors in my life that I look up to and go to when I need help with things. So I want to thank you, Vicki, for jumping on here tonight. Vicki's going to let us know a little bit about more herself, and then get into why we're all here. So thank you, ladies. I hope you enjoy what we can provide for you tonight. And again, hop on over to the BPW website and register for our next 2 events if you haven't already. Go ahead, Vicki.
Well, hello, everyone, and I want to thank you all for joining. And Madam President, thank you for the opportunity to share my story. As you had said, I am a 21-year survivor of domestic violence. And I also, BPW has been a very integral part in helping me be able to share my story, because it's a very tough when you're going through something like this. You feel humiliated. You feel, you think you aren't strong. You think you don't have confidence. You start to believe the things that everybody tells you. And especially if you are in a situation with an abusive spouse. And that was my issue. So I want to thank Madam President for asking me to be the state chair, and for the opportunity to share my story of survival, persistence, and a story of she knew she had to, so she did. I have to read it so I stay focused and don't go down any rabbit holes. So if you all bear with me on this. The first time I had the courage to share my story was at a BPW IDP course that my local was having. And at the time, the theme was also domestic violence. And we were to write a 5-minute speech. Jerry Ferrillo convinced me to do my story. And I did. But when I was asked to compete, I still felt too humiliated, too ashamed to compete in the IDP contest at the district or state. This is a story to provide one perspective on domestic violence. It has been my wish to share this story since the conversation with colleagues. I won't tell you who I am, but I will tell you that I could be a story your grandmother, mother, aunt, sister, cousin, niece, or a friend would tell. I'm sitting at a meeting and I'm listening to a conversation about domestic violence. The conversation went like this: how can anyone be so foolish as to stay in a relationship with abuse? As I remained silent, I thought, funny. Those were the same words, though they were my thoughts as a naive young woman, till the day I looked at myself in the mirror and saw my face, my neck, my body bruised and swollen. I'm an educated woman. How is this me? I was handling the world, right? I was handling it. Away from home is a safe reprieve. Our facade is confidence, efficiency, and strength. We are not naive. In fact, many of us are educated. We educate your children. We nurse you back to health, serve you in restaurants, run businesses, or remain in the home, raising the next generation. At home, we learn to speak and when not to, how to protect our children, how to anticipate moods, and instantly create a protection plan when all hell breaks loose. Even eventually, we all look in the mirror and we cultivate the courage in ourselves to say enough is enough and break the cycle of abuse. Every intelligent woman can be manipulated into the abuse cycle. At first, he's very charming, very attentive, brought flowers and gifts for no apparent reason. He visited, we would go to my special places. But there was always a price. Total emotional reliance and devotion. The gifts became rewards for obedience or a request for his forgiveness. He would have you believe he is all you need. We married despite my reservations and an episode of frustration when I ended up jacked up against the wall with his forearm across my neck and face. But the charm of him and his promise to never do it again kept me walking down this aisle. Plus, I didn't want to disappoint or humiliate my parents who had paid for everything and couldn't know about this. Our honeymoon, I wanted to go to the pool. He didn't. He got mad. I said, I'm going anyway. He said, not dressed like that. I went to leave. He threw a lotion bottle at me. It just missed my head. I was shocked. He never did anything like that before. That day, I succumbed to the fear, and it gave him full control. So I say to you now, do not let fear enter in a relationship. If you fear anything, get out. The cycle of abuse continued, except his and ours was not like what you see on TV. It wasn't a daily cycle, but I was always to blame. The line, if you wouldn't push my buttons, became instilled in my brain. He would work, and if dinner choice, temperature, or spice content was not right, it was my fault. If his parents weren't satisfied with my decisions, they would manipulate till their wishes were followed. I became embarrassed to be with him in public, as he would put me down in front of others. As the dutiful little wife, so I was taught, it was my job to take care of things. So that meant everything he didn't do. I would make decisions, and if wrong, I was ridiculed. He even raised his hand to hit me one night, but stopped just short of my face and said that I was not even worth hitting this time. Imagine, not even worth hitting. Understand, when you are told you are not worth it over and over, you start to question yourself, and then you start to believe it. How you feel about yourself keeps you there. An emotional, fearful hold. Now let's talk about the cycle of abuse. It would start as a fight. He would break a chair or throw something or call me degrading names. He then says he loves you, and if you would just not have done that or said that, he would not have gotten mad and reached that point. It's all your fault. Then the honeymoon period. You'll be sworn at, beaten, and the worst is over. You know you can get away with telling him off, and he takes it. He apologizes never to do it again. He then says with tear-filled eyes, sweet things to keep you in the relationship. Your nurturing side feels you can help him, so you stay. Love and peace go on till he realizes he's losing control, and again, the cycle continues to chaos. You feel eggshells grow under your feet. You adjust and once again realize this is not where you want to be. So I started to keep a diary. I'd mark the good days and the bad and saw the cycle eventually. Also, take notice if there's more days than good. So back to my mirror story on that day. I wanted out, away from him. So I stood up to him, and it turned bad. He said I pushed too far. He threw me around the room like a rag doll, his hands clenched around my neck. He pushed my face into the top of a desk as if crushing a can beneath his palm, bounced me on an overturned chair, knocked my head in the corner of a cabinet door. I tried to fight, but this man stands 6'4", 330 pounds. But finally, I believe my angels told me to scream, and I screamed like I'd never screamed before. He released the grip. I dropped to the floor and got up frozen in place. He backed up, sat down with a dead stare, and I ran to the bathroom and sat there till I felt it was safe. I stood up and I looked in the mirror, and I couldn't believe it was me, an educated businesswoman and mother, bruised by a man professing to love me. That day I promised myself, never again. Here's the kicker. I did leave, but came back after urging for misguided people and family to work it out, because he was in the honeymoon stage and he was calling them and telling them he was going to change. So I had to talk with him, and he assured me he would not do it again. I felt at this time I could not make it on my own, and I had to do it on my own. I had to change me. Plus, I had time to make a plan for the honeymoon part of our cycle had started. More people knew about it. So he was put on medication to control his anger. I educated myself about abuse, domestic violence, survival plans, escape plans, and I surrounded myself with good, strong friends and those who could relate to me and my situation. I found a good job that I would support my children and me. I found my church to give me strength and confidence. I had a good plan, and a good thing I did. He did not change, and he blew up again for the last time. I survived the attack and had a plan in place, obtained a PFA, which is protection from abuse, and started on the road to freedom and a new life. I will tell you, it isn't easy, but it is so worth it. Abuse crosses over all ages, income, and stature. If we can get one woman or child to change, to have confidence, find support and encouragement, then that cycle can be broken for many generations to follow. My children, I'll tell you a little story of my children I had custody of, and he had visitation, which the courts had to allow. So we ended up being able to, we did the visitation. We had to meet at a particular place. It was always in public so that he was less likely to do anything. And I would have to give my children up to him. Each one of my children, I got burner phones for. And as a single mom, that was really tough to be able to do that. But I did, because if they went with him, I wanted them to be able to call me, that I could get to them as fast as I possibly could. Eventually, he got tired of seeing them. And my older ones decided, my two older boys decided that they just didn't want to see him anymore. They wanted to live their lives. And my youngest, which is a girl, he finally had lied to her so many times that she eventually could make the choice to not go with him. So I rested a little bit easier once that all happened. I was able to, I'll tell you my PFA story. So, because they have a habit of trying to manipulate the courts. So I went to get a PFA, and the judge, I ended up sitting outside the judge's office, and the judge called me in. And the judge says to me, he goes, "I can't give you a PFA." And I looked at him and I said, "Why not?" And he goes, "Because right now you're sitting in front of me, and the incidences that you're talking about, um, they just weren't too recent." So in other words, because I didn't have marks or blood or bruises, this time. So I looked at him and I said, "Seriously?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Could I please have a piece of paper and a pen?" And he goes, "Sure. What do you want that for?" So I put my name on it, and I put each of my children's name on it. And I said, "And when you read this in the obituary, know you caused this." And he looked at me and he said, "What makes you think he's going to do this again?" And I said, "Because he said to me, 'You're pushing my buttons.'" That was always an indicator that I was going to be beat very soon. And he looked at me and he goes, "Why isn't that in here? I said, "Because I did it myself. Like, I'm writing this." He goes, "No." He goes, "Here's what you need to do. I'm going to call the Women's Center. They're going to come up. They're going to help you write your PFA." So there's one thing that I want to tell everybody. There are local organizations across the state that have, if you know of somebody who's going through that, have them contact. For us, it was the Women's Center in Montgomery County. There's plenty of other places in each one of the counties that they could go to free of charge, and they could get help to be able to do these situations so that they don't have to fight when they get in front of a judge. So I'll make that suggestion to you. The one thing that's really tough is the visitation and proving that, they can't be. I just recently heard a story from a woman that I was walking with this past weekend, and her husband, ex-husband, or soon to be ex-husband, does drugs and leaves them around the house. And she's got a little child, and she has to give the child to her husband. And so it's heart-wrenching when you're going through this. That's why you need to surround yourself with good, strong women who can be there for you, who understand, and sometimes may not agree. There were a lot of people that said you had to leave, but I had to be able to make it on my own. He was controlling too much of my life, and he had other people convinced, even my family members, that it was all me. And so you have to try and figure out how you can surround yourself with people who can help you and, understand your story and help you and give you the support. Sometimes all it is just a hug is all you need, because you're doing your fight. I also had an attorney that was afraid of my ex-husband. And so I didn't get child support for my children for almost 9 months. The mortgage was late. He refused to pay for it because he wasn't allowed in the house because of the PFA. So he didn't want to pay for it, but he also didn't want me paying for it, which then meant I would have to give in and bring him back into the house, which I wasn't about to do. So I tried to go see some landlords and rent an apartment for me and the children. What I didn't know was he had spliced the telephone wires so that where he was working, which was behind the house in his shop, that when the phone rang in the house, he could pick up and hear when I was speaking to lawyers or when I was talking to landlords trying to figure out a way to move away, because I would go see these people and wait for phone calls for these people to call back. And my credit was good. I was ready to go. I had everything planned and all. And the landlord would say, I'm sorry, we heard that we shouldn't be renting to you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We prefer not to get involved in this. So eventually I did find the splice. It was funny because it was quite unusual. And that's when I got myself a burner phone. And what I did was I was able to move out of the home with the children because he did not know what was going on because I had a separate cell phone. So life is a little interesting, I got to say, but perseverance, strength, confidence, and finally realizing that you are very strong. Even though some days it doesn't seem that way. But I'm willing to take questions if anybody has any. And don't feel anything's off. I'm willing to talk about it.
Nikki, this is Donna. I don't have a question, but I just sent you a hug.
Oh, thank you. And BJ, I'm seeing the hearts. Seriously, any question, I'd be glad to answer because there's a lot of information I could give. There's a lot of people in different transitions. One of my friends had gone through it and she already was a survivor. One of my friends was about a year ahead of me. So it was easy to talk to her because she understood, like, okay, this is what's going to come next. And she's actually the one that gave me my second lawyer, who was not afraid of my husband. We would go to domestics and we would have to come into the room. And when we were in the room, my ex would come in, and of course, with the size that he would just sit over in the corner and like let his lawyer take care of everything. And my lawyer, the first lawyer, would be like, what, because he sat behind him. So that's an intimidation type thing. And he was afraid of him because he wasn't as tall as. And basically it just ran and ran and ran. And my friend gave me a new lawyer. So I went to see the new lawyer. I fired the old one. My new lawyer, the first time we had to go to domestics, I'm sitting there, we're all at the table, the attorney's at the table, his attorney's at the table, me and the domestic representative at the time. And my attorney turned around to him and said, either you get your ass up here at the table or we're all getting up, walking out, and I'll take you to court. And his chair, and he goes, oh, by the way, act like a normal human being and put your chair on the ground, all four legs. And all of a sudden, my ex is doing this, coming up to the table. And I just looked at my lawyer, and that was the day I fell in love with my lawyer. He's happily married, of course, but there was somebody there on my side. So finding a good lawyer I would tell you, it is very much worth it. And if you don't have the money for it, there is legal aid in every single one of the counties across the state that you can go and get qualified to get help to get out, especially if you're not receiving any kind of spousal support or child support or anything like that. and your income doesn't make, you can go and get help. At least it's a place to start, and they can direct you to other people too.
Nancy, you have a question?
Yes. I don't want specifics, Vicky. I was
Okay.
just curious about, the time that you got married to the time that you left. And I was wondering, like, who supported him? Was it like his
His-
in-laws, your family, his parents? And was there any cycle of abuse that you saw, like, within his side of the family that, you know, um, that his stuff could have been learned behavior, from what he saw within his own home life previous? I'm just curious.
Yes. But when you're 20 something and you're going into a marriage, you like your world's just you and you don't realize it. I was married to the man for about 15 years. At that 15th year is when I started to work out. By the time we were divorced, I was still married to him for 21. It was, yes, I can give you like a little, for instance, and this was one that really stuck and was also another, one of those straws that breaks the camel's back. So we had a machine shop behind the house, and that's where our business was. I ran that business for 16 years. And when we got, and his father would come and work with him part-time. So the one night I'm dealing with the kids, I came out to the shop to relay a message, and I was told to call the wife, his mom, and tell her that she can start dinner, that the dad would be on his way home. So on my way back in, I all of a sudden had the two boys, they were doing their little boy things, and I got distracted and didn't make the phone call. Well, let me tell you, I found out the next day that the mom got yelled at because she didn't have dinner on the table when he walked through the door. I got yelled at because I didn't have the courtesy. I disrespected them in not making a phone call to tell her to start dinner. I was like, are you kidding me? And then after the father had left, then I was told, you no longer disrespect my family like that. His parents did support him. Whenever there were issues that he would go to his parents, and his parents would make the decisions as to what our family would do.
Did his parents, his grandparents, have any kind of relationship with your kids?
No, they're both dead now. Now, once I left and took the kids, they cut my kids off. Yep.
Vicky, Becky wants to know how long it took for you to trust love again. She thinks
Ooh.
Keith is a keeper, and I think if anybody on here has had an opportunity to meet Keith at one of our state conventions, you can agree he's a keeper.
He's a
So
keeper.
she wants to know how long it took you to trust again and jump and put yourself back out there into the world.
Let's just say if I didn't have the husband that I have, trust is a very hard issue. It still is, and I have a man that loves me to the nth degree. I mean, he doesn't even get angry. He just stays mellow all the way across. And like he always makes me laugh. We could be like having a disagreement and he'll make me laugh. The trust issue, it's an issue because you just never know. And somebody could prove themselves to you, and it's really hard. I can tell you it's better after 20 some years. But it took me 11 years before I even started dating. And that was
Susan
doozies
wants
too.
to know that she's glad that you found your courage, that you're so worthy and loved, and I think we can all agree that we are all very glad that you found your courage and got yourself out of there. And thank you for having the courage to come on here and share your story with us. We know it's
Mhm.
not easy. And when you said that you were willing to, I would never turn down the offer. I had the opportunity to hear Vicky when she initially told it during her it was ID at the time speech. So I've been waiting a very long time for everybody else to hear the story of courage and empowerment that I fell in love with many years ago. Does anybody else have it? Yep, Alita, go ahead.
Yeah, just, yeah. So all that time that you were married to the bad guy, you ran the business.
Mhm.
Yes. Are you still running the business?
No, we had trouble agreeing on things once I left. And also I needed to, when I left, I needed to cut it clean.
Yeah.
It was kind of, I get the kids, he gets the business kind of.
Uh-huh.
And within 6 months when I left, the business failed and he ended up going to work for somebody else. He's still, to my knowledge, still in therapy.
Was there ever a time?
Go ahead.
Was there ever a time you were thinking about going down to the gun and ammo store, taking care of business?
Well, here's an interesting little fact. So the one thing my ex and I used to do was trap shoot. And we would do bow and arrow. We would do, and let's just put it this way. I was a damn good shot. I would compete and win in competing. So that was an issue when the PFA was done, because I said to them, because the police confiscate when that happens, what they do is they take all his weapons. Well, that was part of his business because we had an archery shop. And so his business, they took the guns, but they took the guns and gave them to his father. And again, it's the way the laws are written. Personally, I would like to see, and maybe that's something BPW can work on, is legislation that, you know, when you're going through the PFA, that other family members don't get your perpetrator's guns. You know, because that kept me very uneasy. We had put, there was a fence between the house and the shop. And so I didn't trust him enough that I would put a light on at that any kind of motion coming in through the gate, the light would go off.
Yeah.
And I had one out front, I had one out back. I slept with a Louisville Slugger next to my bed. I had, you know, like, because I had children, didn't want guns laying around. So I slept with a Louisville Slugger. I still have that baby to this day. It was one of the real true ones, the, you know, the full oak kind of thing. So I was hoping that would help. But to this day, I have to tell you that if I'm sleeping and a light goes off, like the TV pops or something like that, I wake up instantly. Like it can even be in the hallway or in another room and a light goes off, I'll wake up. Like if somebody gets up to go to the bathroom, I'll wake up instantly. And that's just trained.
Is that guy still live in the same area that you live in? Do you ever have any kind of anything?
No, I have no contact. The last time that I had any kind of contact, his father had died. And he reached out to my oldest son, and my oldest son called me and said, "Hey, Mom, you know, he's asking if you would like to come to the funeral." But this is how crazy he was. And I kind of went, "Do you want me at the funeral?" And he said, "No, I don't need you at the funeral." I said, "I'm not going." And that's when I found out he's living in a different state.
Oh. Good.
So he moved to a different state. So
Still, never let down your guard.
no, you can't. Like you seriously can't. Not ever.
They can pop that up out of the clear blue.
Yep. They
I know.
absolutely can.
I know from experience.
And you know. But what I'm finding, the one thing that is so interesting, like once you feel, that people aren't going to judge you because of what you went through, and you start to share these stories, it's amazing. We all have a story,
Yeah.
different people,
Right.
but the
Right.
themes are kind of the same. Like we all need that support. We all have somebody who totally degraded us. We all have somebody who was trying to ruin close relationships, family relationships. And we've all been told once we're out of it, family members will come to us and say, "We finally have you back." And you're sitting looking at them like, "What do you mean? Like, how did I change? Like, how was I different?" And they said, "No, you're just back to you now." And I know it happens with a lot of people, a lot of women going through this.
Vicky, Deb Petriska wants to know regarding children living in the home, what is available for them? And Deb, I think you mean like outlets, services that are available.
There is services where they can go and they can sit and they can talk. They like all my children, right, are all happily married. I have grandchildren. They all are very big defenders of women and, their sister, their wives, their daughters, their nieces. They all are very, very, protective of them. They're very protective of me still. Yeah, I haven't seen anything that it's interfered in their lives, but yes, there are services that can be gotten, especially through the Women's Center. You could call them, or any places that deal with domestic violence. You can talk with them. They can get you in contact in talking with any kind of therapist. Yes.
Vicky,
Your church is a good place to start too, because a lot of times you're feeling like this isn't, like I don't want to be talking to everybody about this. Like I'm the only person going through this, like, and you're humiliated. You can't believe you're in this position.
Vicky, so if somebody on here knows somebody or, is experiencing what you went through, what's the best outlet for them to take? What's the best first step for them to move forward or to break the cycle?
I would go on to the Pennsylvania Domestic Violence Task Force. I know it's been posted, but I'll give Jen the information and she can post it again. I'll also give you the hotline. But when you go on that website, what is really sweet about that website is they help you create a plan for you to leave. Leaving the perpetrator is the most dangerous time in a relationship. I called the police department, got the police department in line. I had bags packed for all the kids. When I knew I was telling him he's not coming back into the house, I'm going for a PFA. I had the children sent to a neighbor's house. They stayed at the neighbor's house. They were not allowed to come back to the house until I made the phone call because I did not know how it was going to go when I told him. And the police were notified that if I made a phone call and I said it's 911, that they better get their butts here. And the chief, said, "We're ready, okay, if you need us." He goes, "We don't come unless you need." And I will tell you, when I became a mayor, I found out why, because domestics are one of the worst calls a police officer has to deal with. And so they are there to help you. They will help you be part of the plan if you need it. But going onto this website will help you create a plan specific for you, your needs, your abilities to be able to leave. They will help you plan. And it's not a funny thing. One of the great things about this website, so if you're on it and all of a sudden your perpetrator walks in the room and you didn't expect them to, there's a tiny little button on the web page that if you click it, all of a sudden the website disappears. That if he would come up and start clicking things and saying, what are you looking at? Let me see what you're looking at. It doesn't pop up. It won't pop up. It goes off and you actually have to go back in it again. Okay. So they are prepared to help you. And not only that, on there, they have if you go into the county that you're living in or the county of the person who needs the help, it gives places where you can call and just start to talk and to help you make that decision that it's time to go. You're worth it.
Anybody else have any other questions for Vicky? Donna,
I
I
think
see your
Donna.
hand.
Vicky, I can just say, having been a family member of somebody that was in that situation, she stayed married to him for 20 plus years, 3 kids, same thing. And to this day, she does not believe that she was an abused wife. She thinks that she just, had enough. But if you've got 4 sisters and all 4 sisters have planned his death in different ways so that they don't get caught, you have to know there's an issue. So at this point, his answer to Margie was he took all the money. He took her name off of everything. His sister-in-law took all of the investments and put them in his name. And then when she tried to divorce him and had to hand over the paperwork, he gave her 6 boxes of paper that she had to go through in 2 days in order to be able to say the money needed to be split. And unfortunately for Bob, Margie had Donna. That's what I did for a living. I took a legal pad of paper. He physically had 6 legal size pieces of paper, went through the entire house and said, there was a desk that we played with as kids at my grandmother's. And he wrote on this paper, desk came with husband. All of these things came with husband. And I went back and put pictures next to it. Desk came with wife, keep your hand off. And just went through the whole thing. And then I went through all of the investment papers and I found the exact date when it got moved and handed it all over. And she walked in with the lawyer on Monday and handed all the pieces of paper. And he had the gall to start crying and said, I can't believe that you didn't trust me and you did this to me. And for the first time in her married life, my sister turned around and said, and I can't believe you don't remember Donna. Because I have that Catholic school handwriting. There wasn't a single word on that list that bum doesn't know I wrote. But I'm over myself now. But what I'm saying is, it's just as hard on the family, especially when you can't convince them that it's not right. When a man sits in a chair and holds a can up and says, beer me, and you have 5 seconds to get him a beer, but I don't know how you convince somebody until it feels like it's too late.
That's why I suggested the calendar, because that was one of my biggest things was okay, the movies always show you that, she's beat on every single day, or, there's always these big, huge bruises, and you're really seeing major, major abuse. And you start to think like, okay, am I really in this situation or am I not? That's why the calendar to me, and I had a friend who was kind of in the same situation that you were talking about, Donna. And I told her to keep a calendar that just use a smiley face. If it's a good day, you put a smiley face. If it's a bad day, you put a non-smiley face or put an X. Pick one. And that actually helped her realize that she had more X's on her calendar in a month than she had smiley faces with this man. And she started to think twice about it. And then you just slowly, that's why the average is 7 times a person will leave and still go back. And it's because they don't have, like they've been beaten so much that they don't even see it anymore because they're just reacting. So doing that and basically having the patience and giving them the love and giving them the support and sharing every information every once in a while. And also, that helps. That helps. And what you did, Donna, is what they need to have. Somebody who's going to be strong and fight for them when they can't, or when they don't realize that they need somebody to fight for them. So she's lucky to have you.
Well, I tell her
If
that
you-
every day.
If you didn't get anything else from this, if you need somebody taken care of, Donna and her sisters, I believe, are for hire. So if you need somebody to help you, I believe you should start there. Donna's in the directory if you need to find her number.
Let's just
Alita.
say I watch a lot of CSI. I was in
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have a friend that owns a pig farm.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God, you
That's
guys.
awful. Alita, go ahead.
I just want to remind everybody that there are other types of domestic abuse, not just, beating around and slapping around. So just, you know in your heart when it's not right. And it might take a while before you actually realize, hey, it's not me. It's not me. But that's why I left Florida and moved back to Pennsylvania. And that's been 32 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but still, I just, I still think whatever. You never know.
Because it's not just physical hits, it's also verbal hits.
Yes.
It's also emotional hits. It's
Yeah.
also, keeping you away from your family, making you, devoted on them. Monetarily wise, most women are like, especially when they're in a situation like this, don't have their own money. All their money is through him, and he controls it all.
And you're
Yeah.
right. Margie's thing was, well, he doesn't beat me. Okay, well, he told you you're fat and ugly. You're not worth even breathing.
Ah, God, hurts me.
Oh, I mean, he took the phone, the house phone. She had 3 young children, and he took all of the numbers off the phone except the 9 and the 1, and had a strong box, and that's where the phone was. And when I came in the first time and had to call, Mr. Jones to tell him that I was there, I had to ask for the phone, pre-cell phones. And when he took it out of the strong box and I was allowed to say, "Hi, Dad, I got here," that's all. And he took the phone back. And I looked at Margie and I'm like, "You live like this?" And she said, "Well, it's not bad. He has a point, because I was on the phone a lot." And I'm like, okay, I don't understand, and he explained to me that it was none of my business. It's his family. He'll take care of it. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, but buddy, I keep my nails long for a reason. Just saying. Oh no,
Yeah.
I was going right for the throat. But
They take the spouse to alienate them, and that's one way to cut off communication, cut off all their friends, distance them, move away. There's so many things. I've seen that in my practice with with patients.
You're right, Nancy. It's the saddest thing. I mean, Bob is an alcoholic. No two ways about it. He built a lean-to between his property and the property next to it. They go in Friday night. They have a little refrigerator that they did all the electric and everything else. They load it with beer, and he doesn't come out until Sunday night. She was to deliver all the dinners and all the lunches and all the breakfasts. He even had a little spot pot put in there. Margie still did not see that as an issue.
It's tough, ladies, and if one thing is true is that we can see the statistic in this room alone, right? That 1 in 4 women are affected by domestic violence, and it takes the other strong women around them, who may not be directly affected, to help them. And even if it's just to hear the story for the 27th time, you have to hear the story for the 27th time. You have to be that person that your sisters and your aunts and your friends can talk to, and not pressure, but just be the ear to listen until they're ready to make that decision. So I want to thank all of Vicky, thank you for your vulnerability. Everybody who has shared their stories, thank you so much for coming on. Again, happy National Businesswomen's Week. We hope you enjoy the rest of the week. If you didn't read your book yet, get on it. Carol's on here. She's going to make sure that you all read your book for the book club meeting on Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. We're just as much part of National Business Week.
That's right. Yes, you are. So don't forget to sign up for that. And Carol, your topic is a woman that interests you, right? Is what the topic is.
It's ladies' choice.
Yeah. So you can
So
read whatever
I
book
can't
you
wait
like.
to hear about all the amazing women that people have read about.
Yeah, that's going to be some good conversation that evening. So if you haven't registered yet, or if you have a book that you'd like to share, you've already read previously, jump on. There's always good conversation when the book club meetings. So that's on Thursday at 7. Ladies, Vicky is an outlet for you. Obviously, she is our state project chair. If you know anybody that needs help, give her the email address. Vicky is an advocate in our own community here. She helps from high school all the way up to adult women get the help that they need. So use her as an advocate, as an outlet here in BPW, because you have one, and that's what's really, really important. That's all I have. I hope you have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for jumping on. Vicky, thank you again.
Thank you, Vicky.
I'll see you before I see most.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. Good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.